Today, I'd like to highlight the important work of the National Indigenous Ministries Council. Since 1994, the Presbyterian Church in Canada has been intentional about supporting efforts of confession, truth, and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples and communities. As a result, Presbyterian Sharing provides funding for 8 ministries that operate in and for Indigenous communities in Canada. Of those ministries, there is one in Kenora, Ontario, 2 in Manitoba, 2 in Saskatchewan, 1 in Alberta, that would be the Edmonton Urban Native Ministry that operates out of St. Andrews, and 2 in British Columbia. Each ministry operates under a minister or director who meets with the council for support. Though the relationship between the Presbyterian Church in Canada and Indigenous peoples is wrought with history and pain, in part as a result of residential schools, the Church is committed to the ongoing process of healing and reconciliation. This is one of several efforts to recognize wrongdoing and prayerfully restore right relationships. In their report to General Assembly this year, the Council had 2 recommendations that were approved. One recommendation was a call to develop a renewed apology for the Church's role in colonization and in the operation of residential schools. It's been 30 years since our confession was written. They don't want to be replacing that, but it is time to simply reaffirm those statements. The other recommendation was a call to support the repatriation of the Manitou Iniskim stone. The Manitou stone is a meteorite, this really heavy meteorite that landed near Hardisty area. It became a gathering place for many Indigenous communities, and the stone itself is considered sacred. That stone was stolen from the land by Reverend George McDougall in 1866, and it got shipped to Victoria College in Ontario. In the 1970s, the stone was moved to the Royal Alberta Museum, and if you're in Edmonton, you can see it there for free without paying a museum fee. Here is the former moderator, Reverend Dr. Bob Ferris, visiting it last year. The stone does not belong in the museum, however. And although both the museum and the provincial government have committed to returning the stone to the Hardisty area, the process for that is long and there's been no timelines given. So the General Assembly supported repatriating the stone while also committing to examine our own church holdings to make sure that we don't have any artifacts that were taken without consent. The work of the National Indigenous Ministries Council is important, and they've been bringing healing to the people they serve while also challenging the wider church and raising awareness of the impacts of colonialism and racism. We are very blessed by their gifted leadership. So please continue to pray for those ministries, both here in Alberta and across our country.